Hello, my name is Adriana Ovalle, and today I will be presenting my small business interview, which was with Green Wellness. A small background history about Green Wellness: the industry that they are in is the natural remedy slash wellness industry. They are a CBD retail shop. The two business owners are Art, my cousin, and Michelle Garcia, his wife. However, it is mainly Michelle's baby, as she calls it. They are sole proprietorship, so Art and Michelle are the only two owners of the business. They began Green Wellness almost a year ago. They did open their doors on June 18th of 2019. They currently only have one part-time employee, and they say their average weekly sales range at about $2,100, with the weekend being their busiest days. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when they know business will come in. So why did they start the business? About 5 years ago, Michelle was telling me that she got in an accident, and ever since then, she started to have a lot of physical ailments, a lot of pain because of the injury, and she didn't want to take pills. She didn't want to do any any of that sort of to take any of those sort of remedies in order to alleviate her pain. She wanted to go the more natural route. So she began a journey to try to find some natural remedies that would help to alleviate her pain. So she was telling me that she tried anything and everything to try to alleviate her pain. And one day, while her and her husband were on a trip to California, they came across a CBD shop. And at first, she was a little hesitant to try the products, but she thought, you know what, I've tried everything else, nothing is working for me. And like before, she just was willing to try anything. So she decided to give it a go. And to her surprise, it actually did work for her. So since then, her and Art tried to find the best products, to try to find more information about what CBD is about, and they started to become really invested in CBD and hemp and the whole idea of this natural remedy that was able to help them in so many ways. So one day, Art was talking to one of his coworkers about it, and he was being talking to him how passionate he was about CBD and all these different products that he was using and how it was working for him. So his coworker stopped him and asked him, "Why don't you and Michelle open up your own business? You seem to be really passionate about this." So they were thinking it over, and they thought, you know what? Why not? Let's just go for it. There are so many other things that aligned for them that kind of made it a no-brainer for them to open up Green Wellness. Some of those things was that there was little to no competition in the Rio Grande Valley at the time they opened the shop. At that time, there was only one other small business, and it was more of a smoke shop. And when Michelle had visited initially, she didn't like the whole atmosphere of it. She it was more geared towards a younger crowd, a cool crowd, and it was more interested in the cool aspects of CBD and hemp rather than the wellness aspect. So she wanted to bring a business to the Rio Grande Valley that was about the wellness aspect of hemp and CBD. Also, in the past, Michelle had been wanting to open up a small business, but she never knew what to do. She wanted the freedom and the flexibility that having her own business would provide for her because she is a mother and because she is a wife. So she didn't want to have all those pressures of, if something happens to my child, I can't just leave work. I have to put in some of my own vacation hours. I have to tell them ahead of time. I have to clock in, I have to clock out. There's so many things that I have to worry about that I wouldn't have to if I had my own business. Another thing that went well for them was the fact that they were able to find various opportunities that offered them low costs to start up the business. And the last major point was that Michelle did graduate university as a health major, so it was always in her blood to want to help people. She always wanted to find a way to help people who were struggling and to help people who had health issues. So this seemed like the best way for her to go because she was able to find something that she really believed in, something that really worked for her to alleviate her pain, and she wanted to be able to do the same for other people. So where did they decide to open up their business? They decided that San Juan was the best place to open up their business because they found, not because of the city itself per se, but because of the retail space that they were able to find. So this retail space was extremely convenient. It was close to the highway, so it was very easy for consumers to find or people who found them on Instagram or their other social media sites right off the highway, so very easy to locate and to enter. Likewise, the space that they found was extremely cost efficient. It was very low overhead, and the rent per square footage was very reasonable as well. They also decided on a smaller location because they weren't sure what the response would be. Because CBD and hemp was just legalized in 2019, almost about a month before they opened up their shop, they weren't really sure how people would react to it because they knew that hemp and CBD had a very strong stigma to it because it's related to cannabis. So they decided on a smaller store because they weren't sure if it would be well received. Their finances, the business is self-financed, so which was another reason that they wanted to choose a smaller location. They didn't want to start the business in debt, so they didn't want to have to owe somebody money. Also, because they weren't sure what the response was going to be. So if the response turned out to be extremely bad in the Rio Grande Valley, they didn't want to have to close their shop and be in debt at the same time. So at first, Michelle was doing all the finances herself. She was doing the bookkeeping, the taxes, the employee bookkeeping as well. But because she was also taking care of the business, she was ordering products, she was doing her own marketing. She had to take on every single role that the business needed to have. So it started to become a little overwhelming for her. So she started to look for different avenues that would help her to alleviate some of those burdens. So two third-party companies that she found that were able to help her were Bench and Gusto. She uses Bench for her bookkeeping, and she says this is a really great software, a really great site for small businesses, that it gives her different graphs that show her net worth and her revenues that she can choose, and she can choose different time frames to look at her revenues. She can see from day to day how her sales are going. She can see weekly, monthly, and not only that, but they do her taxes for her as well. So at the time of the interview, she was saying how Bench was putting together all of her tax forms. They were looking into, they had access to her bank accounts, and they were doing pretty much everything for her, so she didn't have to worry about that at all. Not only that, but they gave her an option of whether to send the report to her accountant or to send it right from their software site. She decided, well, it's so much easier, just send it from the software site. So it was a very, very convenient software system for her. Likewise, Gusto is a Canadian company that tracks all of her employees' activities, and they take care of all of those types of aspects for her. They do the payroll, they do the timekeeping, the clocking in, the clocking out, all those different reports, and they also do her taxes. So those two sites, extremely convenient for Michelle and any other small business that wants to look into these sites. Any problems with law? I figured this would be a really good question to ask because of how they kept reiterating how CBD and hemp were so strongly stigmatized and how people had such a negative view. So I wanted to know whether people had reported them or people had kind of had a problem with them to the fact to where they sued them because they thought that it was legal, although it isn't. I just wanted to know how they dealt with those or what kind of precautions they took to prevent those from happening. So they did say luckily they hadn't been sued and that she tries to take every precaution she can in order to prevent it from happening. And one of those things is liability insurance. So like any other small business should have, they, Art and Michelle, decided to have insurance. And she says, especially because they are in the industry of consumption, is how they worded it, because it is topical, it is ingested. So they wanted to make sure that they had insurance just in case something did happen. You always want to have that backup and that safety net. Also, on for her personally, she always makes sure to give customers disclaimers to, like, at the back of any lotion or shampoo or conditioner or anything topical. It does have disclaimers in the back to test a small area to make sure that it isn't going to affect your skin, or to only ingest a small amount to see how it reacts to your body. So she makes sure to give those disclaimers in her shop as well. Also, she does have multiple people come in for health issues. So people with ADHD, people with trouble sleeping, if they have physical pain like Michelle had, if they had trouble concentrating, things of that nature. She always recommended for them to speak to a doctor first to make sure that the products that they wanted to buy worked well with their bodies or were the best idea for them, and was okay just in case they were taking other medications that the CBD would interact with. Another really interesting thing that I found out was the fact that she kept a binder detailing lab reports for every single product that she sold. So she pulled out a really thick binder that had lab reports. It detailed all of the ingredients, what percentage of the ingredients, how the product was made, and things of that nature, so that not only would she feel safe about what she was selling to her customers, but that if any customers had any questions, she would just pull out the binder and say, look, I have all of these reports. You can find out exactly what's in this product. And not only that, but she always make sure to recommend, if you're still unsure after you see these lab reports, after I tell you about the plant and that it's safe, if you're still not sure, please do research yourself to make sure that you're 100% confident in buying from us, and feel free to come back and shop. She never wants to pressure the customer into buying something that they're not 100% certain about, because she doesn't want anything to happen that'll fall back on her, as well as she wants to have that environment of comfort to where customers can come back in and feel free to ask questions and things of that nature. So she says transparency. Her being 100% transparent is the best way for her to prevent any lawsuits from happening or any problems with the law, things and the like. Unique selling proposition. So the main question, or the main, I suppose, mission that Green Wellness strives for is what is best for your needs. What products will best help alleviate whatever it is that you have or whatever concern that you have. So one of the stories that she was telling me about that first CBD shop that she ran into before she opened up her shop was the fact that that shop was more of a smoke shop, and that it was very uncomfortable for her because not only was the salesperson giving off a vibe of like a used car salesman and very preachy, but he was wearing a purple suit, so pretty out there, pretty crazy, and he did nothing to answer her questions. So she knew that when she opened up Green Wellness, she wanted to have a comfortable, bright atmosphere. She wanted everybody to be able to see the products that she was selling in the light. She wanted customers to be able to approach them and to ask questions, and she wanted to be able to answer those questions fully, as well as give them other information that they didn't think they had to know and probably wanted to know. And so she always approached the customer and helped them to understand that the brand, that Green Wellness, has their best interest at heart, that the consumer was number one, that they could look at these reports, that they could feel safe about using their products because Art and Michelle themselves use these products. So she says Another thing that sets them apart is that she's constantly evolving. She wants to make sure that she's constantly innovating, that she's constantly evolving and researching all the time to figure out new products, to figure out the methods behind those products. And the very last thing, something that really stood out to me that she constantly talked about, was building a community, to building a network, not only of consumers, but of different small businesses. Because of the industry that they're in, because of the products that they sell, CBD, hemp, because it's so highly stigmatized, she wants to be part of the wave. She wants to be part of destigmatizing that, to be able to tell people it's okay, it's a safe product, it really helps you, it helps me, it helps my husband. There's nothing weird about it. There's nothing, it doesn't have to be like your average smoke shop. You don't have to be like Spencer's. You don't have to be like Hot Topic, those types of things. So she wanted to build a community of small businesses to where she would go out and help them and they would help her out in return, to have that feeling of confidence, of safety. So marketing, Michelle does do all of the marketing herself. And a unique aspect of her marketing is that she's constantly trying to destigmatize. She's constantly trying to inform and to do research and to encourage others to do research about the products that she sells. So if you look at her Instagram and her Facebook, she's makes small posts about small informational posts about the definitions of what something means, or how this is different from this, of new rules, new regulations, and things like that that have to do with that topic. Additionally, going back to the community, she says building a community also helps to facilitate her marketing through word of mouth. So she goes on her Instagram, she helps support other small local businesses, other businesses that are owned by women, and she shares their posts in hopes that they'll realize, man, Green Wellness is really cares about us and really cares about helping the community. So I'm gonna go ahead and share their posts in return, and I'm gonna have my consumers find out more information about them. So she hopes in that way, and she has seen positive results from doing that. So from the small businesses that she promotes, their consumers end up becoming her own. So building that community is extremely helpful for her. Advertisement, during our talk, she mentioned something that really shocked me, that really surprised me, was that because of the huge stigma on CBD and hemp and the products that she sells, is that she's actually banned from doing a lot of things that other small businesses or other businesses are able to do. So she can't create advertisements. She can't boost her posts on social media sites. She's not allowed to host events on social media platforms. Like, she can't create an event. She can't use ticketing sites. And she has also noticed that sometimes Instagram will hide her posts from being shown. So she says from one day to the next, she'll have, let's say, 100 likes on a post, and the very next day, or for about a week, she'll have extremely low views, extremely low likes, extremely low engagement from her followers, because Instagram will hide her posts. So that was pretty shocking to me, and it made me realize that she had to be even more creative, because she didn't have access to those tools that are extremely important to engage with consumers and to attract consumers. She had to look for alternative ways to market and to advertise. So the main way that she does that is through networking and through building that community of small businesses and consumers, going out and helping the community, hosting running events and other things that reflect her mission and her vision. So one of the social media sites that she has is Instagram, which you can see here. And it's extremely clean, something that you wouldn't expect from a smoke shop or from a CBD or a hemp shop. So it really sets them apart from other smoke shops or CBD shops that are here in the Valley. So very clean, very bright, green, whites, very neutral colors. So also very inspirational. You got this. They do, here are some of her informational posts: economic benefits of hemp farming, bioavailability, hemp versus marijuana, how those two are different. Although they're chemical, although they're both from the plants, the same plant, they're both very different products and used for different things. So as you can see, her Instagram page is a very good reflection of who they are as a business and who they are as a shop. And also reflecting that is their website. They do have their own website where they have most of their products. So if you go here, their Green Wellness Shop, they have where they're located, San Juan, as well as the map here. They have their Instagram right front and center. And they have, following along with her idea of transparency, they have all of the brands that they use here so that people can go in and do their own research and find out exactly what types of brands they sell and what they have. They have a product page and they have what they're all about here. So they do have their own website, which helps others find out who they are. Decided to add some pictures of their products and also so you can get a good idea of what their retail shop looks like. So they have very creative with a very natural, a very green color scheme. They have wood, they have little plants, succulents, and she also makes sure to position her products in a way that will attract people to them. So she mentioned how if she notices some of her products aren't doing too well, she'll try to push those products to the front. Or if she discovers a new brand and she wants to push out a different brand that she decides she doesn't really agree with anymore, or she just doesn't really like how the product works, so she will try to sell that brand as soon as possible to try to push in the new merchandise. So here are some of the products that they sell. They have t-shirts. They do have Willie Nelson's own CBD line, his coffee. They have it right here. So she really tries to sell unique items that people in the Valley won't be able to find anywhere else. They even have CBD for pets. So some of the things that I really took away from my interview with Art and Michelle was to really, if you have an idea, to just go for it, to not be afraid, to not have that fear, because you will fail. And once you accept that, everything else is smooth sailing, in Art's words. So it's really just about taking that leap of being confident, of always doing your research, of always having that information to fall back on, because your consumers will notice. They will notice when you're passionate about something rather than when you're just trying to sell, when you're just trying to make a profit. They'll notice when you do your research, when you can answer their questions, and that's when you can really develop a loyal customer base, your consumer. And probably the best quote that I heard Michelle say about overcoming obstacles, especially in her industry, is that you have to create a community, not only of consumers, but of other business owners. You won't thrive if you're alone with thinking it's me against everyone else. And this is especially true for her and for Green Wellness, and trying to overcome the stigma that her products hold. And how are they going to destigmatize CBD and hemp? And how are they going to survive and make it through this initial I suppose, industry breakthrough because it just became legalized and because it's so new. How are they going to overcome these obstacles and have a lasting relationship with the community and with their consumers to be able to have a long lasting and profitable business? So that is all I have. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.